thanks for listening. Yeah. Hello, everybody, and welcome to We Say Things, episode 42, a very special episode indeed. My name is Sunsfan, joined as always by Cinderman, and our guest today is Gork. How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Great. How's life for you these days, my friend?
Life's alright. I mean, my mood goes how my pub goes. So today was a decent day, so my life's pretty decent right now.
That's great. How does it feel to be the streamer with the best hairdo in Dota scene, for sure?
Oh, really? Oh, thank you. I usually get made fun of for my hair.
No.
I don't know about that.
No, I'm not even. I'm not memeing at all. That's the whole point. That's the whole point.
I don't think it does.
It's beautiful. Cinderin, how you doing? It's been like 2 days since we've talked.
Yeah, man, I missed this. I'm so glad we're back, Shannon. I miss your voice every day, so it's really great to hear it again after such a short time.
That's great
That's
to hear.
so sweet.
Yeah.
So the way that we do guest episodes, for those that don't know, it's only been a couple episodes since we've had a guest, but we start off with a quick rapid fire initiation for you, Gork. This is a very important part of this, the episode. Then we'll talk about your life, and then we'll have a trivia session at the end between you and Cinderin. Winner.
Oh, is it kind of like a battle, a competition or something?
It is a competition. You get nothing but pride, though, for winning.
Wait. I didn't know about this. Does Cinderin know the answers or something? Am I getting screwed over here?
I have never known. Have I won? I've won twice
this
and
is
lost once or something, right? It's not
okay.
rigged.
At least you've lost once.
I don't
exclusively
know.
Who did you lose to? Sorry,
I lost to Sheever. I think I won against everybody else, right? I lost to Blake. I lost to Blake.
I don't keep track of this stuff. Nobody cares. Anyway, rapid fire initiation, Gork. I'm gonna say, I'm gonna give you a choice of two things, and you pick which one it is, just quickly, okay, off the top of your head. Are you ready?
Shit.
Are you ready? Alligator or crocodile?
Alligator.
Jupiter or Saturn?
Saturn.
Joker or Magneto?
Joker.
Cake or pie?
Pie.
All right, you failed. You have failed.
Dude, that was perfect. Pie is so much better than cake. What are you talking about?
I hate pie. Come on.
This is the shortest episode we've ever had.
Yeah,
that's it.
Thanks
you
for
failed. Thanks for coming. Thanks for coming on the show, Gorg. Bye.
Okay, that's the icebreaker. So what I want to talk about is, well, we'll get into your streaming stuff, obviously, but tell us what your life was like early on. Just give us like a synopsis or a Cliff's Notes version of what it was like to be young baby toddler Gork.
Toddler? We're going that far back, huh?
Well, whatever you want to talk about, it doesn't matter.
Did you ever get over that? Or
being a toddler?
Still baby mode. I'm sure half your stream would say you're still a baby.
Yeah, sometimes. Dota brings it out of you. No, but I don't know. I kind of grew up a little bit as maybe like a class clown a bit when I was a kid, actually. I was very outgoing and stuff, and then I became a little bit more of a nerd in my later years.
Oh.
When I was like 12, 13, I guess. But I always liked games a lot. I played a lot of games. I watched my brother a lot. He played like tons of games. I was so like envious. I used to sit behind and watch him, kind of like how people watch me now, I guess, you know. And he let me play for like 1 hour a day, even though my dad bought me the PC. So it wasn't even his. So I was just being bullied. But he's 9 years older than me, so what can I do? So that was pretty much how I grew up with games.
That's the original streams, right? Watching somebody else play physically.
Yeah, your older brother.
So, before we get more into the gaming side of things, did you ever, before you got into Dota or anything like that, did you ever have a job, employment history, or university, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, I had some odd, stray jobs, but overall, I would say my main thing was, before I started streaming, was like uni. I went to industrial engineering uni for like 2 years-ish, a little bit more. I also went to uni for like random courses like history and stuff before that, but nothing really stuck with me. I was going to stick with industrial engineering, but then, streaming kind of took over.
Okay. And this is in where? Sweden?
Sweden, yeah, Gothenburg, Sweden. So
have you just lived there your entire life, pretty much?
Yeah, I've lived here my entire life. Pretty much born and raised here.
So I remember in your stream, in the text, I don't know if you have it anymore, but the under stream text, it said, "Don't ask me about university." Why was that?
Well, it was kind of confusing whether or not I wanted to actually admit that I had quit university. Okay. But technically, I'm on a break. I could come back. I don't know how they would like it, but I could maybe come back.
So in terms of the early games, you talked about how you watched your brother play. What specific games are we talking about here?
Oh, my brother played a lot of Counter-Strike at home, and a
Oh,
lot of other games like Jag the Lions, a lot of Diablo. I love those games as well because I grew up with them.
so PC
Then he went,
games.
yeah, PC games, PC
Okay.
games. We had like I played consoles a lot too. I kind of forgot to mention that we had an NES and then we had a Nintendo 64. Played a lot of like GoldenEye and random ass games on that too.
Wait, you had
Mario
an
Kart.
NES? That must have been like the end of NES,
Yeah, it was my
right?
brother's NES, so it wasn't mine. Like
Yeah.
I played a couple games on it. I was the Nintendo 64 generation for sure. Like
Yeah.
that was my shit. And then,
What's
dude, I
best
played
game
so
of
much.
Nintendo 64?
I think if I remember best game on Nintendo 64, for me, I think it was just Mario Kart, honestly.
Classic. Okay.
Yeah, I played a lot of that. I didn't have a lot of games to be honest. Like I know there was a lot of cool games. I had like Mario Kart and I had like GoldenEye. I don't remember any other games I had, you know. I don't
Not
know
Super
why.
Mario 64? That one.
No, I didn't. Oh
That's a
yeah, I did
banger
have
for
that
me.
too. I did have that one too. Yeah, that
That's
was pretty fun. But I think I was too stupid to understand what I was doing, so I don't think I ever completed the game.
It
I was
was
just running around.
relatively challenging, actually. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah,
Mario 64
yeah.
was not an easy game. So
Yeah.
that's fair.
It's interesting. I went from NES to SNES to PlayStation. I never had the N64 actually.
Dude, I had
And
PlayStation too.
didn't.
PlayStation. I think was my favorite console overall. Like PlayStation 1, I don't know. I had so many games, like
Yeah.
Resident Evil and shit. That was so good.
It was really good.
Did you like the
Okay.
remake?
Yeah, I played it on stream. It was actually fun. I liked Resident Evil 7 even more though. Like the newest one, I guess, out of the thing. That one was really fun.
So, tell us how you got into Dota. How far back does this go?
Oof, this one goes far back. I played way before All Stars even, but I was a kid then.
Really?
So
Wow.
yeah, I played because my brother's friend played Dota, so I started playing with him a bit. He's a lot older than me. I used to create these lobbies and say like, okay, I'll pick pros only, and then obviously there's
Pros only. It's like an 8-year-old.
yeah, I was like
Pro.
9 years old. Pros only, man. And yeah, I never really got serious. It wasn't really that serious. I didn't join any leagues or something. I was a kid, but I have a lot of fond memories of early Dota. I used to like when we were vacationing down in Greece and stuff. I used to sneak off to the internet cafe and play some Dota and stuff. That was fun.
Damn.
And internet
So
cafes.
if you played before All Stars, do you remember a map called Tides of Blood? Have you ever played that one?
I think I don't
Man.
remember much from before All Stars. Honestly, I don't remember Tides of Blood at least.
Right,
No.
'cause there were some like Dota style ish maps at that time,
Okay.
right? I was just curious because
Yeah.
it's a map that I think few people remember, but I think for many people it was the gateway to Dota as well. So I was just curious if you had played that too.
Okay, maybe I don't remember it. So long ago.
So you played Dota before All Stars, which, by the way, I don't think we've had a guest that has been that far back yet.
Yeah, that's
Then All
that's
Stars
old
comes
school.
out. Like, did you not play regular Warcraft that much? It was mostly the mods.
No, I never really into the RTS genre of games a lot. Like I never got stuck for normal Warcraft. I played a little bit, but I think the it was so punishing playing like ranked right away. I feel like people were so good, and I was like, fuck it, and I played like other games instead. Like I started with custom games, watching my brother play. I think he played Dota before me, so I just kind of latched on.
Take us through the All Stars time frame until Dota 2 comes out. What were you doing then, gaming wise?
I did a lot of stuff. I think I spent a lot of time gaming, so I wouldn't say it was Dota mainly, even for most of my childhood or something like that. I definitely played like Dota a lot, and then I switched to then it was a lot of Counter-Strike in between everything, and then the almighty holy grail World of Warcraft, which consumes all time forever, came out, and that like consumed me for I don't even know, so many years. I think I played Vanilla, TBC, Wrath. I played super actively, and then I quit. I played all three, and then I kind of went back to Heroes of New Earth full time. I didn't.
Yes.
I did. Yeah, I dabbled a little bit in the Garena Dota, like before Heroes of New Earth, in between like that. But yeah, then it was Heroes of New Earth all in, basically 8 hours a day every day. I loved that game. It was so great in the start. And then I kind of got a little bit sick of it. Dota 2 came out. Didn't really look that good in the start. Dota 2, like pre-TI 2 or TI 1, I played a little bit. It looked like shabby compared to Han, so I was like, I'm not gonna switch. So I stuck with Han. Then after TI 3, I was like, fuck it, I'm going Dota 2. I'm done with this. Han was kind of dying
Han
anyways.
was dead.
Yeah, it was dying.
He was
a
in the
little bit.
basketball arena. He was one of 5.
So wait, when you started, let's go back a little bit because
Yeah.
I forgot that you played Han. So back in the
Mm.
Han days, when did you start? Was Ice Frog still on the team? It was basically the
I
first
don't
year
remember if
of-
Ice Frog still was in the team. I was way early, like way before the release of the game, beta and
Oh,
stuff.
okay. So yeah, Ice Frog was still there then.
Yeah.
So that
Yeah.
game for me, and this could be nostalgia speaking, that first year is still for me considered the best game of all time. It felt
Yeah, it was great.
I think it was more the transition from regular Dota and all the little
It
things
was
you like.
huge.
You didn't
Yeah.
have QWER. Obviously, the biggest thing for Han is the quick turn rates and the super low latency and be able to reconnect to games. Like it had all this stuff that no other game has ever had, and that
Yeah.
game just felt ungodly. It was so good, and then they shit all over it with their terrible heroes and terrible choices in general. What was
Yeah.
your favorite hero in Han?
My favorite hero was my profile picture, Monkey King. When he came out, he
Ooh.
was so busted, like obviously. But before he came out, it was like Chipper and Nomad were my two favorites.
Oh, I love those. Yes.
A little bit of the OG heroes, and then Master of Arms as well. That was one of the newer heroes. He was also great, I think. Great
So
design.
Monkey King in Han, was he Monkey King in Dota, or was that a different
No.
hero?
It was a
Totally
different
different.
hero.
Okay, I've never
Explain
played
what
the game,
explain
so
what
I
he
don't-
did real quick. I don't even remember honestly. For
So
Monkey King.
basically, he had like 15 different mobility skills. It felt like, but he had like a double
So
auto
Void
attack.
Spirit.
Yeah, it was kind of like Voice Spirit, honestly. Double auto attack. Yeah, double Voice Spirit ulti. He could use like two Voice Spirits ulti, so that was very similar. Then he had a vault, and then he had with a stun with that. It kind of depends on which patch it is, but yeah, basically jumped around a lot in the fight, did a lot of damage. A lot of kind of.
Yeah,
I mean,
he
it was
was-
a mix between Monkey King and Voice Spirit, I think. Actually,
when they started coming out with some of those heroes that were like, if you pay, I can't remember how they did it, but if you paid whatever it was, you got to
Oh,
play
yeah.
them for the first 2 weeks. And like when I think of Master of Arms, I think of No Tail because he was just shitting on everyone with that hero competitively
yeah, he was a beast. He
back
was a
in
beast.
the day. Okay, so Dota 2 comes out. You're not super into it right away. I mean, I was kind of the same way. I was kind of split between Han and Dota 2, and then I ended
I
up.
think I played some
making-
Dire Tide. Yeah, I
Dire
dabbled
Tide,
in the
okay.
Dire.
So that's
I
like
went
the
into
second
Dire
year.
Tide, and then I went.
So that was your gateway. Was Dire Tide. Interesting.
Yeah, I think so actually.
Okay, so take us through your early Dota 2 days then.
My early Dota 2 days. I don't know. I just played. I grinded some pubs. I think I went to school meanwhile. It wasn't really that serious. There wasn't any ranked, so usually when there isn't any ranked, I feel like there's not a lot of incentive. But I just did it for fun. I played with a friend or two. Just basically a social thing, it felt like. Not so
Mhm.
competitive for me.
Then when did it get competitive or more competitive?
I guess when ranks came out, and then I was like, oh shit. I got top 50 pretty fast, I think. I was like, yes, I feel so good now. So yeah, that was pretty much, as soon as rank came out, it became pretty competitive for me, I guess. And I always wanted to be the best among my friends, I guess. So there was always a little bit of competitiveness. Like I always felt like I need to be better. So yeah, I tried still, even though there wasn't any rank.
See, living in the US, it's very easy for me to be better than my friends. But in Sweden, I imagine there's a little bit more competition. Would you say that that's an accurate statement?
Well, I guess you haven't met my friends. No, I'm just kidding. They're great. They're great. They're great.
Can I just say, this is completely unrelated. I just realized the picture in your background, the painting on the wall, it
Yeah.
really looks like S4.
Yeah, I've heard that before
I-
too.
I
It's
just,
actually,
I
do you
just
know who it is?
realized- I have no idea. It's probably S4.
It is actually. It's not.
Like
It's,
Bruce Lee or
James
something?
Dean.
Oh,
No,
not
James
even
Dean
close.
from Rebel Without a Cause.
Okay. Do you know who James
Damn.
Dean is, Cinder?
think
He
that's-
doesn't watch. Cinder doesn't watch movies, so
It's an old movie thing.
very old.
I know another James Dean Shannon, but we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah. Whenever I
Okay.
say that, my chat's like, really?
So, how did you get into streaming?
I don't know. It just kind of came. Well, first off, I kind of met Sing randomly. Sing. We kind of met randomly in some custom games sometime. We kind of quickly started like playing a lot of games together and stuff. And I didn't really start streaming right away as soon as we met. Like I played with him for a while, and people started noticing me and asking me to stream a lot.
Mm.
I felt like, fuck it, it could be something fun to do while I do university. So it wasn't really anything serious. After a while, that was like 6 months a year after playing with Sing or something. I just like, okay, I'll try streaming, and then I don't know, I kind of stuck with it since then.
And then 2 years later, you were like, man, university could be fun to do on the side while I'm streaming.
Yeah, that actually way faster than 2 years. I felt like after a few months, like, yeah, I'm prioritizing streaming over university now. Kind of
Have you?
skipping a lot of classes.
We talked about your favorite Han hero. What about Dota?
Favorite Dota hero?
Yeah.
By design or by choice? Like,
Give us
like
both.
maybe
If they're different.
no, I think Morphling is one of my favorite heroes. Like overall, I think he's so versatile and stuff. There's a couple other heroes that I think are amazing, but I can't really think of it at the top of my head. But I think Morphling, like play wise and the way he's like made, is very cool. Very unique to Dota. And there's a couple other ones that are really cool. I just can't think of them. There was one more. We talked about this the other day with a friend, but I just forgot about it. But yeah, Morphling is really cool.
So you start streaming, and
Yeah.
what was it like early on? You're just doing it for fun, like you said. How long did it take until you're like, I'm pretty good at this, or I like this, or whatever the thought process is at that time, or when you start getting viewers and whatnot, that you can actually make this a full-time thing?
I don't know. It just happened gradually, I guess. Gradually growing every month. And when you see progress, it's kind of hard to stop, I guess. So I think I was lucky. I don't know if I didn't see a lot of progress, if I felt like I was stagnated at some point, I felt like, okay, maybe I'll just go back to uni and quit or something. But it always went up a little bit every week, every month. So it just felt like, all right, let's see where this goes, I guess, pretty much.
Okay. And
so if I can just build on this with the streaming. So I think for a lot of people, they remember you from the start on Sing's stream, like you talked about.
Yeah.
Then at some point, Sing kind of, I don't want to say had enough of Dota, because it's not like he doesn't play or stream it anymore, but he went from being full-time Dota streamer to being like more variety streams and more like chat interactive, more than focusing on the game, like a little bit more of a classic Twitch streamer, if you will, or whatever. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
Did you guys kind of grow apart? Because I remember you, Sing, and Bambo were like really tight. You guys were playing a lot together, and you were streaming it, and Sing was streaming it, and Bambo was streaming it. Like all three of you were streaming. You're like this clique. What happened? Do you still play with them? Do you still talk, or is it kind of like just?
I think it comes on and off in periods, I guess. Me and Sing haven't really played for a couple weeks, months now, but every now and then we reconnect. I would say we probably grew apart a bit. Like we spend a lot of time together. I feel like it felt like we spent an entire summer, like 16 hours a day playing like these Civ and Total War games and everything. Like after a while, you're like, all right, you maybe grow apart a little bit. Maybe some salty Civ games, still sitting, still memories of that. Nah, but really. I think overall we're still like friends and stuff. It's just like, you can't force hanging out or something like that. Doesn't feel right.
What about with Bambo? I remember this. You have this picture. I think it's still maybe your pinned picture on Twitter of the three of you in China.
I think it's Bambo's things. I don't have that.
Oh, is it Bambo's? Okay.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Was he like third wheel, or was it like?
No. Bambo is tight. Me and Bambo are good. We talk every now and then.
Oh, so you're actually talking to him more now than Sing?
Yeah, maybe. He has a night shift on Twitch right now, so we kind of don't. We don't bump into each other so much anymore. But yeah, for sure. And we're all friends still. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was just going to transition further into your streaming career so far.
Yeah, sure.
How would you say? Maybe this is a better question. What have you learned about streaming that you didn't know before that you wish you did, if anything?
That's
a
good
thick
question.
Skin type thing? Because that's a very common answer, right? And I think we can all relate on some level to that for sure.
No, the thick skin type thing. I think I don't know. I think what I learned, I don't know. I think I learned that you kind of have to, if you really want to be successful at something, I learned that you kind of have to be obsessed about it. Like you kind of have to make your life revolve around it. And that's a quality that I learned from streaming and that I'm going to keep with me my entire life. Like whatever I want to do and whatever I want to do well, I will just do it with my entire heart. And that's what I did with streaming as well. So I think that's what I learned.
That's a good mentality. I think the thing that I've come across through my experiences, basically I would echo the exact same thing you said, except try not to get burnt out either. You need to.
Oh yeah, I don't know. I feel like I haven't really learned there yet. Like I'm on the limit, Sometimes I'm like, am I burning out? I don't know.
Right.
Like fuck it, let's stream today too.
Changing sleep schedule twice a week.
Yeah, no. Once every 2 weeks, Sinrun. I am not that bad.
It used to be twice a week.
It used to be pretty bad. Yeah.
So wait, why does your sleep schedule get so fucked up? Just from streaming late into the night?
Well, okay, I have many theories. But one of them is that I have a condition. I don't know if this is a condition. I just Googled something. But some people have sleep. Some people have like 25-hour days instead of 24-hour days. So I feel like every day I want to go to bed 1 hour later, no matter fucking what. So I just shifted.
Yes, that's exactly the same.
Yeah.
I have to change my sleep schedule all the time as well. Like
Yeah.
when I go to sleep, I never want to wake up, and when I'm awake, I never want to go to bed. That's how it always
Yeah,
feels.
exactly. Yeah, that's the only reason it fucks up all the time. It's so annoying.
And how
Ha-
much sunlight do you get in Sweden? Because there's certain
well,
times of the year
I
where there's
don't
no
get any at
sun,
all.
right?
I have these blinds here. Like
Yeah.
they don't let in anything. It's
I
pitch
thought
black.
you were gonna say they never move either.
They don't move either.
That's
So
nice. That's
yeah,
nice.
it's completely dark. I'm isolated. Nah, but I try to get a little bit in the morning. Like 5 minutes on the balcony. But
It's
in
better than
general,
nothing.
in Sweden, it's like 3-4 hours of sunlight a day now in winter times. It's not a lot, honestly. Kind of have
Do
to.
do a lot of people take vitamin D pills in Sweden?
Yeah. It's pretty common. I have some vitamin D pills. I finally started taking some vitamins. I don't know how much they actually help though, but hey, dude, at least I hope they help. Better than nothing, I guess.
Placebo, if
something
nothing
I've
else.
something I've
Maybe.
heard about these pills, for example. So I can say a bit from experience because my girlfriend is from southern Germany, right? And she moved to Denmark, and there's a really
Okay.
big difference in the amount of sunlight.
Yeah.
I think supposedly the thing with vitamins is that they. I cannot say this with confidence, okay, but I think it has a lot to do with how you grow up. So if you grew up in Sweden and you're used to having low sunlight your whole life, then it's
Okay.
different than if you grew up in Italy and then you suddenly move to Sweden. You're like, holy shit, I have a deficit, right? So I
Yeah.
think for us, it doesn't matter as much and it won't have the same impact. But I think other people that move north from the south really experience big differences if they don't have their vitamins. So I think for you and me, I would totally believe that you're like, I'm taking them and I don't really tell a difference.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like Shannon said, it's kind of placebo sometimes as well with stuff like that. So
Yeah, I think so.
if it works, it's great, right? Like whatever the reason is,
Yeah.
that's awesome. So cool.
So going back to your streaming stuff, would you say this is kind of a hard question to actually answer, but would you say that you're surprised by your success at all? Like obviously
Yeah,
you
for
you
sure.
started streaming and that wasn't your goal to become a streamer, right? So in
No,
that
no,
sense
no.
it's a surprise. But based
I just
on
did
your
it for fun.
experiences recently, would you say that it surprised you in any way?
Oh yeah, of course it surprised me. Every day I'm surprised, honestly. So I'm grateful and I'm surprised. I don't really know what it is, but as long as people like watching me, I keep streaming, I think.
Would you say that the success has changed you in any way, positive or negative?
Maybe a little bit negative. I think it's Dota that's changed me a bit, honestly. Like, like I believe it or not, even though there's compilations of me hitting my keyboard or whatever, I'm not really an angry person at all. I never get angry in real life. The only time I ever get angry is playing like video games, like
like you, Shannon.
competitively,
You're the same person.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? I get mad at everything. I complain about everything.
I guess.
Yeah, I'm like even like if it's kind of like people get mad at traffic. I don't get mad at traffic. I don't get mad at anything. Like it's just Dota. So I guess negatively I'm a little bit angrier, but yeah.
But have you driven through
passes.
LA traffic before, Gork? Come on.
No.
All right. So you don't know the true meaning of traffic at its worst.
Do you live in LA?
No, thank God.
Oh.
That's the reason I don't live in LA. The worst of the
Okay.
worst. Good Lord. You could literally walk faster than the traffic sometimes. But no, that's cool to hear. I get this vibe from you. I don't know how you feel. Everybody probably has a different sense of who they are as a person. But to me, you've always felt very humble as a personality, which isn't always the case. And I think everyone's goal as a personality is to come off as humble in some respects. Does that make sense? Because it doesn't look good if you're a dick, right? Or just like super confident or too cocky. But would you consider yourself a humble person by nature?
The most humble of all.
You can't answer that question, Shannon.
No, I
That's
can't.
a bait.
It is. No, it's not a bait, but it's not because some people don't think they're humble.
I feel like I go between phases. I feel like sometimes I feel very entitled. I mean I think that's a little part that gets out every now and then streaming, you get irritated and you feel more entitled than you should be. But overall, I feel like I try to keep it as chill as possible, at least.
Yeah.
Not get my ego big as a balloon or something.
I think
if you
something
imagine, this is also a thought experiment, hard to answer, I guess.
Okay, I'm ready.
Imagine you stream for a week without ever looking at chat. Do you think that would humble you more or make you more cocky?
I don't even know. I honestly,
Like, what do they
I'm
trigger in you? Do they make you feel really good when you do good stuff and they talk you up, or is it like they really keep you grounded when you make mistakes? Like, what sticks for you the
they
most?
really make me grounded. I would say my chat is really good at keeping you grounded, no matter who you are. If you're the best player in the world, dude, you missed that one CS. Oh my god, you're done. You're getting lulled to no end. But yeah, overall, the thought experiment of not having a chat is so weird. Like sometimes I get mad at chat, and I close it because like, okay, I'm already mad. I don't want to get mad or reading some stupid comments or
Mhm.
something. But then I realize, oh shit, I'm so dependent on my chat. I can't stream without it. I talk to them all the time. Like I'm just sitting here and playing. What the fuck am I supposed to talk about? Usually in very intense games, like. But I just don't know what to do without my chat. Sometimes, honestly. So yeah, it would be interesting trying to stream without it completely. I don't know how that would work.
Do you have time to even watch other streams at this stage? Since
I mean, I watch a little
busy?
bit, but I don't sit there and watch an entire stream or something. I can sit and watch 10, 15 minutes. Sometimes it feels like work too, because I'm like, oh shit, this streamer is doing this, like he's doing this with his graphics or the games he's playing. Maybe I should try that, like then it feels like I'm kind of working, in a way. So it's not that relaxing as it should be. So I usually stick to YouTube when I try to like relax before bed or something. I don't know.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point, because going back to the work ethic that's needed to survive in a business like this, like I can speak from
Mm.
my side. I have to literally work in some respects 7 days a week, like literally all year round. I have
Yeah.
not taken a day off in like since we started Dota Cinema, basically. Like maybe
Uh,
some days I've only worked like an hour or two. Like it's not like it's super stressful on those specific days, but having to have access to your phone to check Twitter to make sure that you're not missing like an update that comes out, something crazy. Do you think that long term, like you said, you're at your edge in terms of burning out right now? Are you keeping it at a fine line, or you're
yeah,
gonna go
I
ham
think
until
so.
until you break?
I mean, honestly, you tell me. I don't know, dude. I
I'm
don't
you
know
and your future
what's gonna
car.
happen. Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine. You just gain a bunch
So
of
you,
weight. That's about it. No big
okay,
deal.
that's what happens when you burn out. I've already gained a bit. I weighed myself today. I weigh 79 kilos. I've never weighed that much in my life.
Shannon is like,
Like,
holy shit, that's the dream.
I don't know what 79 kilos is, but I'm sure that's very
like
heavy.
190,
170 pounds, roughly.
170. Okay, well, yeah, I
Yeah,
thought 180.
like so.
All
How
right,
tall are you?
Something like that.
180 as well.
What's 180?
180
Sander?
centimeters, 5'11 and a half, I think.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Sounds
we're
like
almost
6
the
foot.
same height. We're just like
6 foot. Yeah,
okay.
6 foot
Cool.
sounds better.
Yeah.
Okay, I wanted to talk about one thing, because you were saying this before we started recording, that asks you literally anything. And I don't think you're gonna have
Okay.
a problem with this one, but because we did talk about this briefly on the podcast, and I came out very what's the best way to put this? I was impressed by your transparency. So I forget the guy's name. You're gonna have to tell me, but you did like an online psychiatry thing basically recently,
Yeah.
right? Take us through how that came about and what the experience was like for you.
Well, I feel like I was friends with, so it all started. I'm kind of friends with Reckful a little bit. We talk a little bit on Discord and stuff, and then I saw he did this thing with Dr. K. He's called. He's like a Twitch psychiatrist. How do you say that?
Psychiatrist.
Psychiatrist. That was easier than I thought. Uh, yeah. So he's a really cool guy. He like helps people online, usually like Twitch people. But I was one of the first. It was me, then maybe Reckful or something like that. I mean Reckful, then me, or something like that. So I felt like, I don't know, I need to talk about my issues in an open way. And I was kind of afraid of doing it on stream first, but I felt like this could help a lot of people if it went I think I shared a lot of the same problems as other people. So it would be good just to talk about it on stream. My life is pretty open. I'm pretty open about my life. I feel like it would be weird to keep a part secret or anything like that. So yeah, the guy is great, and I was maybe experiencing a little bit on the edge of burnout. I kind of like a little bit confused of what to do, like like how to feel when under a lot of pressure from myself mostly. So yeah, it was very fun talking to him and eye opening, I'd say.
Would you
And
say it helped you at all?
I think it helped me in the right path at least, and I think a lot of people, it helped other people, at least what they told me, that they also could relate a lot to it, which is great. I think better than anything I could hope for.
What would you say? So when we had this talk, Shannon, I said this is something. If it was me, I would not do it that way. Like, I'll just be open about that. I would not stream something like that personally.
No,
but like I said, it's not for everybody, and I completely support and respect your choice to do it. What would you say to people that are of the opinion that you should never stream something like that? Like, that it's bad, that it's public. Like, this is your private life. You need to keep it separate. People should not interact with this part of you. Like, what would you say about that argument?
I think it's personal, and I would also disagree that I don't want to use the word never do something like that publicly. I mean, it wouldn't. I would agree completely that this is probably not the best to help me individually, like doing it publicly like that.
Mhm.
But the service it does to the people that are watching is more valuable. I feel like so they get a lot more out of it, which I think is good. Yeah, but
Yeah,
overall,
I watched a good portion of it, and it was really good, actually. I honestly went in kind of skeptical because
mhm.
I think if you look at it from the outside, it looks like a PR stunt. Like, you can understand that.
Yeah.
But after watching, I'm like, Jesus Christ, this is as personal as it gets. And
Yeah.
kudos to you, my friend. Because I think one thing that we lose as personalities sometimes, like, I take pride in being very transparent, but most people can't be transparent. Like, it feels like they got to separate something from, their public lives versus their
Yeah.
personal.
I separate one thing always, no matter what. I feel like it's only fair, and this is one thing I will say. I don't think it's ever a good idea to talk about this publicly if you're a streamer. I think it's really bad talking about relationships and stuff, especially if they're in the early stages and stuff. I think it can become really toxic, and it also a lot of windfall comes on the other person if you happen to break up, which is horrible for that person as well. So one thing I don't talk about a lot are like relationships.
Yeah, there's a couple of streamers
Girlfriends
that come
or
to mind immediately when you said that.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're talking about the same person.
I think
okay.
so too.
Let's transition over to your streaming for OG now. How the hell did that happen?
I don't know. It's kind of like happened out of nowhere. I don't know.
Just got a banner.
Nice. They just like, here's the money. No, but I don't know. Me and Seb and Notel started talking like kind of like casually, and I mentioned the idea, and they were like super into it. It just seemed like a really good fit for both of us. Like, I was looking for an org, and they were like, "Hey, dude, let's try it. Let's go for it." It was kind of spontaneous, honestly. Nothing like super planned. Before the Berlin trip, we announced it. We decided like 2 weeks before that we're gonna like, all right, let's try it. It's very spontaneous, and I think it was good for both of us. I hope.
So, like, I understand that there's probably a lot of like contractual stuff that you can't talk about, but if you can like be vague or whatever, I think to a lot of people when it comes to these streaming partnerships, the expectation that they have is, oh, okay, a person signs with org, they use their banner, they use their ads or whatever, or their sponsors, and then they get a return investment. Like, what's in it for both parties here? Like, what's the goal of this kind of partnership? Like, I understand if you can't be specific.
Yeah,
about it
I'm just trying to be as specific about it without like stepping on anybody's toes, I guess. But overall, I would say it's a cooperation between. I think we want to create like a win-win situation for both of us. Like we want to create a situation where they get something cool about it, where they can reach out to their fan base, and I get something where I can provide content that like didn't exist before and help my brand as well. So we're like helping each other's brands, I guess, in a way. So yeah, we're both getting something out of it.
I noticed after the announcement, at least, that you got a lot more viewers. So
Yeah,
there was a direct return there. That I remember you said, I think it was on that stream, you were like kind of blown away by how many viewers you had after that announcement. It was like you almost doubled your numbers on the first stream. I think you had like 25,000 people watching your stream.
Yeah, it was crazy.
And then when you cast an OG game, you had like 50K with Toby, I think, or whatever it was. That was kind of record breaking. I don't think we've ever had a personal streamer have 50K viewers on anything ever in Dota.
Yeah,
I can't remember that ever happening. So that was something. That was quite something.
Yeah, I was honestly very surprised that it happened, and I'm super like happy about it. That it happened too. I guess I don't know. It was fun.
Okay, so I want to talk about a couple things. We're gonna kind of bounce back and forth here because I don't know where to fit these in exactly. So, this is not the end of the podcast, but I do want to ask, what does the future look like in your eyes for you specifically as a streamer? Is there anything that you're working on that you can talk about? Is there any goal that you have?
As fast as possible.
I'm ready to burn out. Ready to burn out, get fat. Like whatever is needed here. Yeah.
So what do you have?
I'm working on it.
What are your goals? Maybe that's a better way to put it.
I think my goals are to work on myself a lot. I think where I feel very happy. I feel like I'm very fortunate doing what I'm doing. Like it's something I love doing, but it also stresses me out a lot. So I want to find more balance in my life, I guess. So finding some more balance while also trying new things more. Like I don't know. Like for instance, if I wanted to try some IRL streaming, like why the hell not? Just try some. So I think in the future, I just want to try some new stuff. Maybe some OG related stuff. I don't know. We've talked about things, so
IRL
Casting,
streaming,
possible.
opening the blinds. I think that
Opening
could
the blinds.
that
That's
could
the
get
first step.
dude.
That's the
Yeah,
first
that
step.
that would be a legit stream right there. What about have you ever thought about casting, like in a studio or anything like that?
Yeah, it's something I would do for fun, but it's not my main passion driver goal by any means. So it's not something I would pursue. But hey, doing something for fun, like for a TI or major, like something that could be a fun experience to do, sure.
Mhm.
But yeah,
So this is a topic that we definitely want to talk about with you.
okay.
Your thoughts on streamers streaming tournaments on their own, because we haven't gotten to talk to. I mean, I guess Cinderen's a streamer, but he doesn't really stream tournaments ever. And there's always this.
not very much.
Technically, it's
Yes.
okay by Valve's book. Like that's not in question.
Mhm.
Do you think it's good for the scene when a personal streamer like yourself or Bulldog or anybody is
Yeah,
streaming a tournament? I mean, you understand the dynamics behind this, right? So give us
yeah,
your thoughts behind it.
yeah. It's interesting. Uh, like me and Bulldog, well, especially Bulldog has been doing it for a long time. I think it's very confusing because I think out of one perspective, I feel like maybe for the tournament organizers aren't so happy if their sponsors are very dependent on viewerships on their own streams. Like maybe they get less money in the long run. So I guess that could lead to bad things for the scene, I believe. But also from like my perspective, I'm also providing content my stream wouldn't watch otherwise, and promoting Dota in a way whereas maybe I wouldn't and do something else instead. So I don't know. It's good for me, I guess, in a way. It's good for the people that are loyal to me, and I'm still promoting Dota in a way. But maybe bad for specifically the tournament organizers in the long run. I'm not really sure. Like there weren't a lot of talks about this. I feel like the talks came after that 50K viewer stream you were talking about, Sunren. I feel like then people started mentioning it more. Like, yo, is this okay? Actually, that wasn't even a tournament to be honest. That was just a qualifier. So I don't think that. Yeah.
So an
I don't know if
argument that's often brought up when this
Yeah.
talk is there about like streamers or private streamers versus tournament organized streamers is that a lot of people say, well, guess what? If the majority of people or a big chunk of people are watching the primary or the private streamer, your
Yeah.
content isn't good enough. Like you should have
Mhm.
done a better job making a better production setup, having better commentary, having
Yeah.
like more hype around your tournament. Is that
Yeah.
like an assessment you agree with? Do you think if the tournament did a good enough job that you would like be competed with harder, or do you just think you appeal to a different like market segment that, like you said, maybe just wouldn't watch the game at all if you weren't streaming it? Like if you could give like a percentage, like just ballpark, how many
Yeah.
viewers do you think are theirs that you take or whatever,
Mhm.
and how many
Yeah.
wouldn't watch? What do
I
you
think
think?
we can look at the most recent example with WePlay. I think they did like I watched a little bit of that, but I heard overall they did an amazing job with the tournament. They did recently, and there was a lot of hype around the stream, and they had a lot of viewers. Like, well, I wasn't even close. Bulldog wasn't close. Nobody was really close to their viewers, and I mean, that itself is testament to show that it actually matters what you do with the production. And
Right.
me and all the other streamers that kind of streamed some of the games. I didn't stream all of them, obviously. Um, we didn't even make a dent in their numbers. I think not a big enough. So yeah, I don't think I take a big percentage of their streamers. I wouldn't be able to give you an exact number, but yeah,
Of
I don't
course.
think it's that bad for them.
Did
So
they
the
approach you at
examples
all?
were. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
We play. Well, yeah, they kind of contact me a little bit. Like they didn't force me to do anything, but they say, hey, if you want to host a stream afterwards, you can do that. That's cool. I said, yeah, sure. So I did that after my streams. If I ended before them. Yeah, I think WePlay did a good job and they got good numbers. I guess that's where we were. So it
Okay.
didn't really matter that much. So
So
question is, when does it start matter? I don't know actually what people what they want to do about it, if they want to do anything about it. I think
So-
there's a lot of opportunities to like they could reach out to me or anybody, and if the problem is maybe sponsorship exposure and stuff, like an open dialogue and communication with private streamers would be very good, I think, on their part and tournament organizers' part to maybe expose their brands on my stream if they really wanted to do that, if that's the main issue for them. So I think there's
Yeah.
opportunities at
Isn't
least.
there some issues with that? But I mean, I can't speak for you since you're with OG, but wouldn't there be conflict of interest if you're putting
Yeah.
overlays for, you know, whoever team you're a part of versus the tournament organizers? Like,
Yeah,
that's something
that's
that's brought
why
up by a lot of
yeah.
people, right? As a
Yeah, that's why
possibility.
I'm not allowed. No, I'm not allowed. I don't even stream with any sponsorships on my screen. But if I were, I was not allowed to show any while streaming games like that. So yeah, but I could, for instance, put theirs on if there's no conflict of interest with OG. Let's say, like there are possibilities at least. I think.
In a way, it sounds surprising that that hasn't been tried, right? If you're
Yeah.
a tournament organizer and you're pitching to sponsors and you're like, these are the numbers we're expecting, or these are the amount of tournament games we're going to have and whatnot, and then you include as part of your package, we have a partnership with Gork for this tournament before you signed with OG, right? Because that obviously changes the dynamic quite a lot. They have their own sponsors. There can be zero conflicts, whatnot. Like,
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that that wasn't. I thought they would have at least contacted you guys and tried to work something out because it's in everybody's interest, right? You will make some extra money because you get to promote their sponsors. You retain your viewership, and they can now sell that as part of the package.
I actually,
It sounds
I
like
can't
that.
see the upside from the streamer's perspective at all for that. What's the point? Because the
Money.
whole idea is
Or-
that
Well, if
that
they get to
Valve is
promote
okay
sponsors,
with
they
this,
get
right?
They will get paid
Well-
for promoting sponsors, right?
so
Oh, you're
if he
saying the
retains the
tournament
same
organizer has
viewership.
to pay for the streamer to do
Yeah,
this.
of course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's say you're a tournament organizer and you pitch to sponsors or whatever, and you're like, we also have Gorg as part of the deal, and then Gorg obviously gets a cut, right? But then you can guarantee much higher numbers, and at least like, especially, I think it's especially a no-brainer when some of these tournament organizers, what they have done is that they've hired, like, let's say tier 2 casters or bedroom setups, like not true production setups, to cast qualifiers. If the pro streamers or pro players or private streamers, whatever you want to call them, are doing it anyway, that could have been, instead of having that setup, you could have cooperated with them, right? They're broadcasting the game anyway, and they're dwarfing your numbers. You drew the comparison to WePlay, where they have amazing numbers because of great production, stage setup, all of that. The online qualifiers have none of it, right? That's why you and Bulldog are a great competitor for that.
From the tournament organizer standpoint, I can say firsthand, not everybody has money to spend on stuff like that, right?
Right.
Because you're not making money usually on these tournaments. If you are, you're not much. So it's not like you have a surplus of money that you can spend on doing stuff like that.
The question is if you could have pitched yourself a better deal, so you could have had more money if it was part of the pitch originally that the big streamers were part of the package, right? It's just, it sounds like something that hasn't been tried, and then in the end you're just like, you know, damn these streamers taking our numbers.
No, that's true. It's more of
really
a after the fact you're trying to, you know
what the playing field is, right? You know what the rules are.
Yeah.
You know
has
the
there
rules
been
are.
any has there been any public outrage from tournament organizers yet on private streams? I feel like there hasn't been a lot. Some public?
No.
There was a point when ESL were DMCAing Bulldog, right? That's
really?
I think that's a year and a half ago, and that's why Valve made the rule they did. They clarified, they made the very clear guidelines because they were like, well, this is our content. And then Valve said, no, your content is the audio, your content is the video, but your content is not Dota itself. So the games are free for everybody, right?
So again, I like right now it's very black and white on what is allowed and what's not. So this isn't a discussion about you know, if you're doing the wrong thing or Bulldog's doing the wrong thing. It's more, is this healthy for this scene? Because you know, I'm a man of many projects in Dota, so I can understand perspectives on each side. And I think the tournament organizers, depending on who they are, obviously some are immune to this, but they can definitely struggle as a result of streamers streaming their games. But at the same time, Cinder does bring up a good point. If you're pitching that early, like before the tournament's even conceptualized, then maybe you can find more money if you include the streamers to begin with, which is definitely possible. But it is Dota, so we'll talk about how healthy the game is as a whole in a bit. Before we get into like the DPC stuff, Gork, I want to talk about the patch. Not this, just the over 7.24. Is it 7.23 actually? Whenever they introduce neutral items and outposts and whatnot. What do you think of the patch?
I'm just so disappointed that it wasn't called 8.0. Like,
what
is 8.0 gonna be? It's gonna be like upside down maps and flying fucking
5 lanes
creeps. Like, what's gonna happen? Like, they set the bar so high now. Like, I don't know what the 8.0 is gonna be, but yeah, I think the patch is fun. I think like you said, maybe it has affected. Like you said, the health. The what do you say? The health of the game? No, the what? Sorry, how did you put it? How alive the game was? I'm not sure how you said.
Sure.
But yeah,
I
whatever.
don't
Yeah.
remember what I don't
Maybe it
listen
has
to myself.
affected that a little bit. Maybe it's a little bit harder to get into now. But overall, I think it's fun. I'm glad they're tweaking a few things. Like in the beginning, it was completely RNG, and now it's a little bit more fair, and it's fun. Overall, I think it's good changes for Dota in the long run. I like that they have the balls to take some risks too. Honestly, like it's needed.
I agree with that. Now, did you have this initial reaction when it first came out? Obviously, you say it wasn't as balanced, but what was your reaction? Was it a positive or a negative?
I'm honestly not very close-minded. I was so sick of the other patch, so like any change, I was like, let's bring it on. Honestly, so
I mean, that makes sense because you played Han. Like I'm the same way because I very open mind to changes like anything crazy. Like if they added mana bars like they had in Han, I'd be fine with it. Obviously, you have to rebalance certain heroes, but I'd be perfectly fine with that kind of stuff.
All right, I'm just shooting this out there. Concede button. What are your stance on both of it?
Okay,
both of your
this is a very interesting topic. So I have a good analogy for this. Okay, I think, and everybody thinks this of themselves, I think I'm a very good judge of whether the game is going to be over. Okay.
Yes.
But so let me transition this to the United States driving with, I guess it could be any country, driving with your phone out. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Some states in
this
country,
most absurd parallel ever.
Yeah,
I'm
trying to connect your...
Some states it's illegal to do it. Some states it's not.
Mm-hmm.
I am very confident that if I am talking on my phone while driving, I drive just as well if I'm not talking on the phone. And the reason for that...
Wasn't there studies done on that, though?
Yes.
Okay, sorry to interrupt, but yeah.
Well, the reason I say that is because I literally drive with one hand normally. So this hand is never used on the steering wheel anyway. And if I'm on having a conversation, there might as well be somebody next to me having a conversation as well. So it's like I'm driving with one hand and there's somebody next to me talking. That's equivalent to me talking on the phone in my eyes. But having said that, I understand that most people, and I've seen this firsthand, they suck dick at driving with their phones. So for the betterment of society, I will concede the fact, no pun intended, that talking on a phone should be illegal while driving because most people can't handle it. In Dota, most people cannot handle a concede button. I would love to have it because I know I would use it properly. I would not abuse it like it was abused in Han, but I don't think most people can handle that.
Yeah.
I think I'm a bit on the fence because I think, kind of like Shannon, a lot of people would just jump to, oh fuck it, we lost 2 lanes, just surrender, like give up.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the time it will definitely remove good comebacks, but then you kind of need to look at like the big picture. Okay, how many comebacks are there relative to how many games that, like how many minutes of people's misery do you save? Right? It's awesome to make that incredible comeback, and it's also annoying to sit through loss after loss where like 10 minutes in, this game is fucking over, and then it takes 30, right? I think if you ever were to make an experiment with concede, I think all 5 players in the team need to want to concede. I believe in League of Legends, they have a concede system where if 4 people concede, the game is conceded. I would never vouch for that in Dota. I think it's terrible because if there's one guy who's motivated to win and has a good game and has a win condition, it's super frustrated being that guy. Like, this. You're having a great game. You're winning your lane. You're super farming the carry. Your other lane suck, and you're like, don't worry, guys, I can carry this. They're just like, no, fuck it, man. I want to leave. I don't want to play.
Yeah, well, even if
being that 5th guy is terrible. There's no way.
Imagine being that 5th guy, and you're the one that's preventing it from being conceded. How bad do you feel that your entire team? Like, you don't think it's going to be toxic at all? Like, it's going to be super toxic.
There's a lot of pressure on you.
I could definitely see the problem in that, but at the same time, there's also a lot of glory if you do motivate people to play and you win, right? Like, in a way that kind of is already there. Like, whether there's a concede button or not, the mentality is there. It's like, sometimes you have a good game and you really need to, like, babysit your entire team. It's fucking kindergarten. You need to convince them that, you can still have fun with this toy. And all of them were like, no, this toy fucking sucks. I want to go home to mom and dad, right? But you can do it sometimes.
What do you think,
I feel like that mentality is already there to an extent.
Yeah.
But
no, I agree with what both of you said. Kind of like it's the problem is that people wouldn't be able to handle it well. I feel like, too. I think the idea isn't bad, but I think it's maybe too late now. I think it would save a lot of misery, but it's too late. It's too late. People are too used to it. 2 people set in their ways. If someone wants to hold the game hostage by destroying their items and saying I'm done. They're gonna do it anyways. So yeah, there's arguments for and against, but I think overall for Dota right now, it's just not for the game. But if I were to start a new MOBA right now, maybe I would add a concede button simply because it saves a lot of time for some people.
Having it right away would definitely make more sense than adding it this late into the state. But
if it was in Dota from the start and it got taken away, I think people would feel the same way about it, right?
Yeah,
like the reverse experiment.
I mean,
every pub would be an NA pub.
I don't know if the games are the same for you guys, but when it feels like it's over for me, which at this stage, like I said, I'm a pretty good judge when the game is over.
At this stage, it's just over for you.
At this stage.
It feels like it takes 20, 25 minutes for the game to end sometimes. It's like, that's the biggest
I
issue
hate
the time.
As a streamer, though, oh my god, I hate it. When people don't know how to end a game, and I'm like, they're suffering. I'm like, this game is over for 20 minutes. And, like, I'm just sitting there, like, what am I supposed to talk about? Whatever I talk about will sound defensive, and like, or fake, oh, guys, let's try. And, there's an anti-mage with like a 19-minute Manta Fury, and you're like, he's going to farm 2 more items before he actually clicks the button, right?
Okay, so what I want to do...
I think there's a bit of a span there, Shannon, as well. Like, I think the lower skill of the game, the longer people take to end, because they make more of those like game-defining mistakes. So I think this is a
most
scenario
people
that
are
happens.
at my skill level or lower. I will say that.
Yeah,
a vast majority.
Absolutely, of course. But like, there's like, it's clearly a ladder, right? And if you're at the top step where people are really good, they're generally really good at. I think in very high skill or in like the upper classes of MMR, there's more willingness to give up, I think, for the right reasons. Whereas the further down you get, people give up because of just... I'm not saying we're sacred. We're not. Like, there's plenty of people that just fucking tilt and they're like, fuck this game, I don't want to play. But a lot of the time, it's just like this realization of, we know this game well enough that we can tell we're not going to win this. Let's give up, go next game. And a lot of the time, people are just like, you know what? Yeah, let's just give up. We lost. Like,
that's it. A concede button could be added when you make it to Immortal.
I mean, well, I don't think that would be good.
I don't think it was a terrible idea, though. I think you're onto something. If they add the concede button, I think for like kind of how they don't have ranked roles for 7.5k plus MMR, they could have it for concede button for 7.5k. That is a small enough pool that where it would be acceptable for everybody. Like, I don't think anybody would object to it basically at that MMR because people kind of know each other and stuff. So
yeah. But the further down you get, the less real reads people will have on the state of the game and whether it's winnable or not, and also just their ability to win, right? There's like these ridiculous screenshots you see of throws sometimes where I'm like, this is actually just genuinely impossible. This couldn't happen, but it does. Right. And that's also, I think, a big part of the reason Valve don't want to do this concede thing is that, well, the evidence is right there. You see these amazing comebacks, and it's stories, right? It makes people talk about the game. It's memorable. That's what's fun. Like, I don't think there's anything more satisfying in Dota than pulling a big comeback. You just feel like the king of the world.
But is
like,
it worth the 100 games of getting stomped? Right?
That's the question. Right? That's what I'm saying. It's like this greater good thing. Like, what's the balance?
Cell phones, Synderen. Cell phones. You understand the analogy now, huh? Thought I was an idiot at first.
No, I didn't say that. I just said I have no idea how this is going.
Okay, I want you guys to pick one thing you would change about Dota. I'm going to start, even though this might not be the top of my list, but because we're on this topic, I think it would be great. I do not understand why the fountain is so fucking weak. Like, I understand that you guys at this higher level don't have to deal with this as much. I've had games, it doesn't happen that often, but I'm literally in the fountain for 20 plus minutes and they're farming us. Why does the fountain not do a shit ton of damage? There's almost no benefit. Like, you get to occasionally, if somebody's diving to try to get the kill, you can come back and, make some turnaround, whatever. That happens a small minority of the time versus the camping at my level again. So that's what I would change. I would make it shootout. I'd actually do this in the mod that we're making. Multi-shot. It does true strike now, and then more damage than it does. That's
global range or...
No, not global. Not yet, at least.
Wow, what a fun game. Everybody's just fucking dead all the time.
What would you guys change? One thing.
I would change... well, this is a small thing, I guess, but I don't know. Why the fuck Doom can have ice armor at level 1? I just don't understand. The most game-ruining thing in the world. Like, please, change it. It's been so long.
Very specific.
I actually think, apart from... So most people would pick, like, remove techies, right? Because that's, like, the classic answer. You hate the hero. I fully agree. I think ice armor. Ice armor is way too lane deciding. And Doom as a concept in many ways is just so random. It's like you counterpick this guy with Bat Rider, and you're like, I'm going to destroy this guy in lane unless he finds a purge creep, at which point he can just free farm. Like this,
Yeah.
the dynamic is really weird with that hero sometimes. So, Ice Armor is definitely the biggest sinner, though. That one is fucking. I've seen games where I'm just like, this lane was unwinnable, and he found Ice Armor, and now they're winning the lane. Like, what is this? So
Yeah, it's not fun.
I like that. That's also a pet peeve of mine, to be honest. I'm with you.
Yeah.
You need
Which
a new
one?
one, Cinder, and you can't take his, and you can't pick techies either. That's
okay. What else? I think I would like overall. We've taken a bit of a step in that direction. I think Dota has got too many forced objectives overall. If you
Heroes
go
of the
back,
Storm. Yep.
if you go back a few years, we only had Roche, right? That was the one shared objective on the map. Then you got bounty runes, or well, you got power runes. Obviously, we had power runes as well. Then for a while, we had 2 power runes, or we had a. Didn't we also have it never happened, but there was some talks. Never mind. So we have power runes, then we got bounty runes, then we got outposts and shrines. Like there's this the map was getting cluttered. And I was just really happy when they announced we're gonna take away the outposts from the side and move them in where the shrines were and remove those. I would like to see probably even less forced objectives. I wouldn't mind if there were less bounty runes or if they spawned less frequently, so that there's a bit more freedom in the game and you don't have to always check back in. It almost feels like you have this kind of stamping card that you need to go back and stamp your I am here at the bounty rune, I'm still present in the game. How about letting people be a little bit more creative? Okay, in this game we're not going to focus as much on this, or you can have different strategies. In part, it's why Dota has felt a little bit more streamlined, whereas a strategy like split pushing has almost vanished, right? True split push strategies don't really get played anymore because you have to contest bounty runes. You have to contest bounty runes, you have to contest outposts, you have to be able to reach Roshan, right? So that's kind of an aspect of Dota that a lot of people, granted, a lot of people hated it. They thought Rat Dota or whatever was stupid. I thought it was very frustrating to play against, but also very beautiful to watch. It's a very high skill and complex way of playing the game.
If you're not playing in the game, it's beautiful to watch. Yeah.
I mean,
if you're not being split pushed on, very beautiful.
I mean, it's part of the game, right? That kind of gameplay has kind of disappeared, and I think it could make a comeback if we have slightly less forced mechanics. So I would like to see that.
Well, if you really want split push back, I think they need to revert some change with the Boots of Travel. Having 2 TPs is not you can't split push versus that. It's almost impossible.
That's another thing. Because you could argue, well, it goes both ways, but it doesn't really, because the Town Portal scroll only goes back.
Yeah.
So the aggressive team doesn't have 2 TPs in the same way necessarily when they're splitting. So
Interesting.
That's true.
So before we finish up with the DPC stuff, last question for Gork specifically. What do you think the future of Dota is going to be like? Do you think it's headed in a positive direction? Do you think it's kind of capped out it's, well, yeah, you could say burning out completely, or is it kind of stagnant and it's in a decent spot, but it's not really going up or down?
I think it's at a decent spot, not going up or down. I think people have the conception that it's going down a lot, but I think viewer numbers on tournaments and stuff show that it's pretty much the same as it always was, and there's a lot of hype around them still. I think if they want to keep the game alive, have a bigger, more active player base, I think they need to make a bigger, this has been said a million times, obviously, but they need to make a bigger effort at getting rid of Smurfs more diligently, account boosting, none of that stuff. They have to sweep it pretty clean to have a future of growing the game, but it's going to be kind of hard. I think the player base itself is pretty healthy, though. I think a lot of people that like Dota are into Dota basically almost for life, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm.
At least. I don't think it's as bad as people
A lot of the people that watch don't play anymore as well.
Right? Yeah, for sure.
And I don't know if that's an issue or not necessarily. I mean, it is an issue on some respects, but do you think bringing new players in is kind of a problem right now? Because the new player experience just doesn't exist?
Yeah. It's a huge problem.
What do you think they can do to change
I honestly, I talked about this once before. I think that's one of the reasons Han died as well. These guys just blatantly boosting, and smurfing was so big then too. How do you get into that game then? I don't even know. How do you get into Dota now when there's all of that stuff? There's a lot of other barriers of entry, obviously. But that one bothers me the most because I feel like if they made an effort, they could do something about it, I feel like.
Mm-hmm.
There was this suggestion I saw posted recently, which I thought was really interesting. I'm curious what you think. Where they have this idea of a lot of the primary reason people make Smurfs or boost accounts is to play ranked, right? They want to get a second chance at getting high MMR, or they want to just make accounts to sell them, or whatever it is. There was this suggestion that when you are a new account, there's two pools you can play in. You can play in the transition to rank pool, where it counts towards your progress so that you can get into ranked. And there's a pool that's just for fun. It's a fun pool that doesn't progress you to ranked.
Okay.
The primary incentive for Smurfs would be like I think you would take out a huge portion of the Smurfs in that pool because they can't obtain their goal by playing those games. And all the new players that just want to, I want to check out what Dota is like. I want to play with beginners that don't know what the fuck they're doing. They would be more likely to play in that pool because I'm just having fun. I don't really care about getting ranked because I don't really know the game yet. And then the Smurfs can kind of have their separate pool where they very quickly climb up the ladder. And then these beginners get to play for fun and then get in. I mean, what do you think? Do you think this is a good solution or a good idea?
It's a decent solution until the Smurfs realize, oh fuck, I'm only playing against other Smurfs. I'm gonna go in the kiddie pool and wreck them there instead. That's way more fun and better for my ego.
Right.
But
do you think
I think it's
that
a
strong?
decent idea. I think it's a decent idea overall. I don't think it's gonna be that bad, what I just said, but yeah.
I definitely think there will be a fraction of people that do that. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people Smurf just to fuck around and destroy people and be like, "Ha, this is fucking funny. These guys are so bad," But like, even imagine if you just cut out half the Smurfs that way.
Yeah,
in that
I think
pool.
it's
That's
good idea.
already it's an improvement, right? Like, and then maybe I'm hoping Valve come up with something even better. But when I saw that suggestion, I was like, hey, that's not a half bad idea. You play for fun in that, and then because right now when you make a new account, correct me if I'm wrong, to play ranked you need to play 100 hours of Dota, right? And what people do is, well, I have to play, so I might as well, you play the games and you can't just pretend to be bad. Like, I mean, you could just fuck around all 100 hours. What most people do, they just play Dota, right? And it's fun to win, it's fun to destroy people. So for those 100 hours, they trash beginners, and then they get to start playing ranked. And those are the 100 hours that you could kind of cut out, right?
Yeah.
Those 100 hours, or at least split them up a lot. So, yeah, okay. Would be interesting to see something like that. Do you have a better idea? I guess.
Better idea?
Yeah.
I don't know.
What would you do?
Like, well, I like that idea. The having two separate pools is great. I think hire a couple fucking interns, to click and sit click the ban button. I don't know. I don't feel like it's impossible. Just hire a few interns, honestly. But I think it's a good idea. Maybe just like show that they're putting effort into it as well. Like with taking serious action against it. I think they've done it a little bit in the past, but I think there needs to be more, especially against account selling in general. Like, I think it needs to be permaban instantly, etc. But yeah,
we talked about this on our last podcast. They banned 40,000 people recently, but
yeah,
I
heard.
Go ahead.
I heard that number was fake and inflated. Like a lot of the bans were inactive accounts and stuff. What I heard, so I don't know.
This was kind of the point I was bringing up with Cinderin last week. Is I would like to see more details of what the 40,000 is just a number. It doesn't mean anything to me. It could be, like you said, inactive accounts. Like what percentage of those were Smurfs versus people that were like scripting or something like that, or whatever the case may be. Like those numbers mean nothing to me. So I want more details personally. But we'll see.
Yeah, same. I don't know what they were either. I don't speak from facts, but yeah, I would like to see as well. I'm not sure.
All right, so let's transition to the DPC. Cinder and I discussed most of this, except for the last part that we'll talk about. But what are your thoughts on the changes for the upcoming post-TI10 era of DOTS? I
think overall, I've talked to a couple of pro players about this too, because I was curious to hear their opinions. They've been on my stream a little bit too. Like, I think overall, the overall feeling about it is that it's good for Dota in the long run. But there are some glaring issues they need to fix before they actually release this. Like, the distribution of points is ridiculous. Are we just talking about the entire thing right now? Because I have an entire rant.
Yeah.
Okay.
By all means,
so
away.
I kind of want to paraphrase. So I just took the time to bring it up. So this is an anonymous pro player or whatever that wrote to me. That's in one of the top teams in Europe. I just wanted to say what he said. So I don't get my facts wrong. But he said. Like, for instance, if they get 4th place in the European League behind top 3 of the some of the top 3 teams in the world, like, for instance, Secret OG Enigma, which they placed 4th, 1st, and 2nd last year in TI. So if they get 4th in that European League, and then they go to the major and get like top 6 there, because getting top 6 in a major after getting 4th in your league, that's great, right? So if they get those great results, which you would consider great results, they still get less than the first place in South American League, the first place in the South American League in terms of the DPC points if they get last in the major. So it doesn't really make sense how the points are distributed. Like it's just not fair to. You can't have this global distribution of points. It doesn't make sense, and I think it's going to promote a lot of teams to move and stuff, which I don't think is good for the scene. I don't think it's good like having 3 European teams in SA top the charts. You know, I don't think the people there are going to be happy about that at all, and I don't think the people are going to be happy about having to move just
I think
to
so. I don't.
accommodate this.
I'm just play devil's advocate. I don't disagree with what you're saying, but I think short term, obviously, it's going to suck ass doing all that stuff you just said. But long term, if you have teams moving to South America, it's better for the scene, don't you think? Because then technically all regions would be more evenly skill distributed.
No, this is only true if there's a constant influx of players and a constant like growing scene. Which, like, yeah, it's Dota is maybe growing. There's coming new players, but it's not like we have like a constant stream of new players, up and coming teams, and motivated teams that get motivated by money. I don't think that's how it works. Like, I think some regions are capped, some regions are growing faster than others. I don't think we can say that for sure. If we give more money to a region, they're going to grow exponentially. I don't think that's how it works. Just
it works to a degree, right? I think.
Yeah,
I agree with partially what you're saying. So if you influx that scene with money, then more people are going to want to be competitive in that region, technically. But the issue is globally, we don't really have that many new players anyway coming in. So that's it's kind of a lose-lose in some respects. But yeah, it's interesting to hear from your perspective about that. Anything else, Synderen, on this topic?
Oh, I was also just thinking, like, do the thought experiment. Let's say we put $1 million in South America for every season. Right.
Okay, I just want to say sorry to South American. Nothing against South America.
They're a good example. Yeah, the same for CIS to some degree, right?
I don't think. Yeah. I don't think it's unfair. Like if you put on just objective glasses here, I don't think it's unfair to say that overall across the last 5 years, South America has been the weakest region. I don't think that's unfair. There's success stories that are awesome, like top 8 finishes at majors, which are great, right? I think they got a top 8 finish at TI.
Yeah,
right?
I think so.
Yeah, they did.
They got
which was amazing. It's a really good result, regardless of which region you're from. Top 8 is a great result in general. You're one of the best players in the world and the best teams. So, but outside of that, like the reason we're using South America as an example is just to put it on edge, right? So let's just as a thought experiment, let's say we threw $1 million per season into South America and everything else stayed the same. I don't think like just the money itself will make the region just magically get so strong that it can compete with the rest of the world. The main factor that drives the skill is how good opposition do you face. That is always going to be like how good is your training, and unless like that's where you both have a point, because over time, if really strong Western teams move to South America and played there for a while, over time the competition there gets fierce because the training opponents they have are really good. So now suddenly, okay, we're getting destroyed in scrims. You learn things, you get better. But short term, your entire scene just gets trashed, right? Like for the first season or 2 or 3, that can be super demotivating. It can cause like strife where the local teams are like, man, this is so unfair. You know, we have our own scene, we have our own players we want highlighted and shown at international events. They don't get to play.
So I want to pause you there. Are you thinking about the Korean move that a lot of teams move there for the league, and then for instance the MVP came out of it, kind of in a way?
I guess that's one example of it happening. There's been stories in the past. I think there wasn't there one Western team that played in South America for a season?
Tinker?
Zephyr?
No, Zephyr was the Korea thing.
Tinker
wasn't it a team? I feel like.
And what region?
Was it just Misery? Was it just Misery that joined a South American team, or was it?
Oh, yeah, both of them did.
There was something with some region switching, right? Where you can imagine you just take these super strong players and teams and move them to these regions, and like even if you put in more money, does it really help? So I think it's really important that the scale of the whole thing is relative to the strength of the scenes themselves. I think it's super good that all the regions get good prize money. I think it's really motivating for the South American scene, but at the same time, we can't treat that region as if it's Europe, because it's not. No. Like that's just. It's naive and it's unfair to Europe to say that. It's not even about being like, oh, you know, we're talking these guys up too much. You're talking Europe down if you're saying that should be on the same level as that. So I 100% agree with that concern. And I think there's a couple of solutions. One is that you make the regions give different DPC points. Like, let's say every region qualifies to the major. but
Yeah.
a region is weighted higher because the competition is considered fiercer. And then you can change the numbers every season based on the results of the major. Let's say one major, 4 European teams get top 6. Okay,
Yeah.
Europe should be worth more points the next qualifier. The
Yeah.
other one is to say, okay, in the qualifiers, every region gets the same DPC points, but then the major is worth a lot more points than the league is. Because then, sure, you can qualify out of any region, but when push comes to shove, you didn't place top whatever in the major. Those are 2 solutions I see, and honestly, whichever one they do, it's just better than what we have right now. So something needs to happen.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm pretty sure about that.
I think right now, from the EU perspective, I can totally understand why players hate it. Like, it makes perfect, because to actually compete and have a better chance at getting higher DPC points and prize pool, you are incentivized to move to South America or CIS or whatever region is. And I talked about Team Tinker. I think they were mostly EU and they came to NA.
Yes.
And they failed to qualify for TI. So what kind of effect does that have? Like, was that a positive effect on the NA scene? Because the NA scene has gotten stronger since then. It might not be related to that specifically, because a bunch of teams kind of did that, right? So I'd love to see to look at some data to suggest whether that is better overall or not for a long-term period of time. Because I can only assume.
I just don't know if we have enough examples. That's the thing. It's hard to...
Even with 1, 5, 10 examples, it's just not enough, Like, it's hard to say for sure.
So it's kind of speculation.
Yeah.
So another thing that came out this week, which is perfect timing for us, since we weren't sure we're going to have a podcast or not, the the DPC bids for both majors and regional leagues have been released in terms of the information, and I want to discuss with these guys because this is very interesting. So, just to give you guys a rundown, the majors, as we were alluding to last week, are 500K. Tournament organizers have to put down 250, in which Valve will match the rest. So that, not too big of a surprise. Majors require 3 days in a setting with a public attendance. You have to have English, Russian, Chinese, Spanish, and Portuguese, which is really cool. It does definitely makes that part. Makes it harder on tournament organizers, but I think it's good overall. They even have details on, you need to upload stuff to YouTube X amount of days after the conclusion of the tournament. So they're accepting proposals, but this one is the least interesting one. I want to talk to you guys about the regional leagues. So the same thing is being applied to regional leagues. Organizers have to put in $140,000 per season, and then Valve will match it. So we talked again last time, $280K for these regional leagues. Who the fuck is going to pay $140,000 for, not to pick on South America, but South America?
You're picking on South America, yeah.
What do you guys think of this? Yeah. What happens when they don't get enough bids? Because there's no way you have so many leagues every year. That's crazy amount of money.
So I just want to clarify, what is a regional league?
So regional league, I'm trying to remember off my memory now,
6 weeks,
the
right?
6-week season essentially, and the top X amount go to the majors.
Yep.
And
okay,
you have,
and that's the DPC points and everything. It's 6 weeks of, you're paying for 6 weeks, 140K.
Yeah.
The tournament organizers, yes.
Yeah.
And that's for each region.
Yeah.
I mean, arguably, I think so. Yeah, South America is obviously kind of a problem, right? Because you don't know what companies have the money and the willingness to spend it. But at the same time, Dota is actually really big in South America. So I think when South America gets its own league, I think there's going to be a lot of traction. And I think when you're selling to sponsors, having a 6-week league with guaranteed content and regular match times is really appealing to companies, because they're like, we can target our audience, we can get the time slot we want, and we know we're getting this many hours or games or whatever. In contrast to, let's say, a major where, I mean, you kind of know how long it is, but it's a totally different ballpark with how many hours it is shown, right? Like a major is pretty short and compact compared to a 6-week league. And on top of that, you're only paying half. So I think the leagues are actually a pretty good deal. It's just, again, the concern is, okay, can South America fund this? I think in every other region, it's a no-brainer. There's going to be tons of bids. But I think even within SA, I think there's going to be a good amount of people. I see an appeal for organizers there. So
you guys think money grows on trees? I don't know how you get. I mean, okay, I want to believe what you're saying. Okay, I really do. Dota is not easy to find sponsors for. It is not.
But at the
And
same time,
that's a
Dota
lot of
also
money.
hasn't had this structure. I think
Right.
this is
Yeah.
part of what makes it hard to sponsor Dota is
think-
that you don't have this guaranteed amount of content over a long
think,
period of time. So
I think it's pretty easy to see as well that CS:GO changed this format, and it's worked well for them and their sponsors. They're getting more consistent, and this consistent flow of games, like Synderen said, is more appealing to sponsors, at least in the Counter-Strike scene. So I don't see why it wouldn't be
So
like that for
I'm
Dota
looking at
as
it
well.
from the organizer standpoint, where you have all this information, all this data from however many years, and seeing how much money you can put into the scene that would make sense for you to make your money back. You have 0 sample size for this structure.
Mhm.
You're right. In theory, it sounds good, but they're bidding right now, months, like half a year ahead of this actual scheduled time. So can they find that money? I'm skeptical, but I would love to be wrong on this. I'm just very skeptical about finding sponsors in Dota in general.
I very much agree that like time frame is super important for this, and that's also why I think Valve has done something very extraordinary for themselves with giving this much notice on the schedule. Right? They've put hard dates, they've put hard schedules, and I think you can maintain those hard dates and hard schedules, and then change the point system. So they can, like, if this production is being sold to sponsors, I don't really think the sponsors care what the point system is. They care what are the match times, who's playing, and who's going to watch.
That
right?
I'm worried about.
So-
They're already trying to sell it as a finished product, and I think most people would agree it's a good concept, but it's not a finished product. So this is where I hope Valve will bend a bit and will actually change it, despite the fact that they're already selling it. If you know what I mean. Like you said,
you
they
think-
won't care, but I hope they will. Like, I don't know.
Well,
Valve
do you
might be
think they
worried.
should change the? Do you think they should change schedule or just the point system? Because you could maintain
The
the
point
exact same schedule. Yeah, but you could keep the schedule, right? So
of course.
So if you do that and then change the point schedule, I still think you can sell the tournament in its current form, right? Like where you're you go to sponsors, you're like, we have these match times, we have this many teams, there's this much airtime. That could remain a constant, and then in 2 months, it's like, okay, SA gets more or less points, or whatever majors give more or less points.
Yeah, let's hope
I
the
still
people
think-
that paid for that tournament, or
I don't know how
the
much they
regional,
pay.
or
That's
if they care about that. I'm just wondering as well. I don't know if you guys have information of it. You pay for it. Does that mean they have exclusive rights to streaming for it, or how does it work?
So
that was something we didn't know either, right?
Yeah.
I don't have the page up right now. We talked about this on the podcast last time for the DPC in general. I believe the lower division, it's free for all, but that doesn't really matter for most purposes. Nobody really wants to cast those games. No offense. And then the upper division, it said studio production, but yeah, they were very vague. So that's the big question mark that we have no idea what the rules are.
Yeah.
So still waiting for that. So we'll see. Okay. So that brings the regular portion of the podcast to an end. We will end with trivia now. You guys,
I'm excited.
Are you guys ready?
This is what I've been waiting for the entire time, just so you guys know. I've been like speed reading trivia on the side here. Meanwhile,
good.
None of it will be
Gork,
relevant.
we'll start with you. We'll start with you. Gork, how did Synderen come up with his nickname?
It's a type of pasta. I don't know.
The nickname,
how am I supposed to know that?
These ones
the
might
word
be
is
hard.
almost the same. The word is almost the same in Swedish.
Is the sinner kind of like he's a sinner, a bad boy?
Not quite.
Synder, you'll have to clarify on this one.
Right. I think the best translation of it is a culprit, right? I think you can also say it in the same way in Swedish, right? Like
but you say it kind of means the sinner in Swedish, but yeah,
it has both meanings in Danish too. It means both, but it is meant to be the culprit, not.
So are you a bad boy, sinner? Is that what you're saying?
A bad boy. No,
yeah,
because that's the other meaning. It's not the bad boy meaning.
I hear the bad. Now that's all I can think about. Right. Sinner and the
that's
bad.
That's fine. He said pasta, Shannon. That's an L.
Okay.
Pasta is not.
That is a no. I'm sorry, Gorky. You get 0 points for that. Synderen.
Yeah.
This one might be a little easier, depending on how
well
you know. How did Gork come
up with his nickname? He slammed his face on the keyboard.
How did Gork come up with his nickname?
Is it actually?
Yes.
Oh God.
You don't know this?
Oh no, I actually don't.
The only reason I know this is because I got it off of Wikipedia. So
I haven't
if this is even accurate, I assume it is.
You don't watch my stream enough, then.
I'm gonna guess it has something to do with Orc, but that's all I've got.
I mean, it's close. I mean, it has something to do with World of Warcraft, at least.
Go ahead. He gets 0 points. It's too late.
Yeah, of course.
He stumbled.
It's too obscure.
It's done.
Are you gonna say it or me?
No, you go ahead.
No,
Straight from the
so
horse's
it's
mouth.
so I played Tauren, female warrior in World of Warcraft, and my name was Gorgeous Cow. So it's just shortened from that.
Wow.
Gorgeous cow.
Yeah, you weren't
Gorgeous
gonna get that one.
cow. No, I was
Yeah.
definitely. Ah, man, I should have known.
Yeah,
Gorgeous cow. It was right there in front of me.
I mean, I should have known a bad boy was staring right at me as well. I missed that one too.
I didn't get
Yeah.
that.
All right,
It's
Gork.
okay.
Gorgeous cow.
Yeah.
You played Dota
I'm
1.
never
This
gonna
might
look at you
be
the same way again.
This
I
might
mean,
be very
trust me,
easy
it goes
for you.
it goes both ways.
This one might be way too easy for you, but
Oh boy.
Cinderins
I'm gonna
might be
look
very
this up.
hard as well. So you might be
Nice.
happy about that.
Okay.
There
Yeah.
was an ancient neutral camp in original
Yeah.
Dota that is not in the current game. What ability did these camps have? I do have multiple choice. Do you need the multiple
Okay.
choice?
Yes, I don't remember, dude.
Is it A, lifesteal, B, evasion, C, mana burn, D, silence? Ancient neutral
Ooh.
camp in original Dota
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is not in Dota 2.
I have a feeling it's evasion for some reason. I'm gonna go with evasion.
Correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're like
Bonus
these-
points for what was the camp called? Is that my question, Shannon?
No, I don't even know that they
Oh.
were called. It's like some I don't know. Do you know?
Well, there were two,
you know?
right? So I think the
They're like
current
lizardy dragon thingies.
we had the dragon
Yeah.
spawn. The dragon spawn had evasion, but there was also the jungle stalker camp, right? The jungle stalkers
Jungle
had
Stalker.
no special effects. They were just strong, I think.
I don't remember.
Or maybe
that
they
at
had
all.
the evasion. I think the evasion was on the dragonkin. I could swear the dragonkin had evasion. They were like
Oh, some
blue
kind of
dragons
dragon.
with like glaives, right? That had at least glaive-like swords.
I was waiting for
Whatever.
them to put these in the game before they put the prowlers. And
Yeah, I thought they would.
like if you eat it with Doom or take it over with Chen, you get like a little evasion aura. I thought that would be kind of cool, but
They
not
could've
to be,
made
it
that.
seems. Cinderin. I don't know
Right.
if this is really hard or I think this is really hard. I wouldn't have gotten this.
Okay.
The original Night Stalker in Dota was based off what WC3 character? Also, what ability did he have that he no longer does? That one's the hard one.
Well, it was based off. Oh, which one of the Dreadlords? What was he called? Was it based off Mal'Ganis?
Maybe I have. Okay, my answer is kind of weird. Just keep going, because
Okay.
it has a specific name.
Shit, what spell did he have?
Can I guess after?
Yes, you can.
He had the old Night Stalker had an ulti that gave him insane move speed and attack speed. It was
That's
like
not-
an aura, I think.
That's not what I found. I don't.
I'm
so
pretty
this
sure
is
he had an
before. This
aura.
is like 5.8 something. So this was before. Like I
Okay.
started
I-
6.2.
There was a Night Stalker at some point that had like this busted ulti, which was an aura with move and attack speed. I'm pretty
All
sure
right,
it was that.
you get
He
0
made so-
points, but I will
God
admit this
fucking
was a
damn it.
very hard one. Gork, you can try.
Was it Balnazar or Varimathras? Any of the two? I don't remember. I'm just naming Dreadlords here.
So
No?
okay, I maybe did not do enough research on this. I will admit. I have a very generic name. It's not like a specific.
Okay.
Oh
name.
no.
So I have Void Demon. Does that ring any bells?
What?
That was the name of the hero, but the model was never called Void Demon. There's nothing in Warcraft 3 called Void Demon. But that was the
No.
name of Night Stalker was Void Demon. And then he had
Okay.
that ulti with the insane aura. And I think the
So-
model was either Mal'Ganis or Balnazar. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
So his ability, the first, I never even knew this was a thing. I just looked at trivia for this. It was called Thirst for Blood. He had
Oh.
lifesteal that only worked at night. Very interesting.
I think I even have memories of that, honestly. I feel like it's there somewhere.
Do you remember the aura, Gorg? Does it sound familiar? to
Yeah,
you?
that does sound familiar to
He
me.
got like
for
that
some reason.
aura under him that looked like the endurance aura you would have with Drum in Dota.
Yeah.
In Dota 1. And
Yeah,
then
but it only worked
he
at
was
night or something.
super fucking fast. Like busted
Yeah.
hero, I think.
Fuck, it's been so long, I guess.
All right, final question. So I'm going to ask you guys each respectives. Okay, well, let's just start. Gork, what
it
is
a speed question?
Cinderen's?
That'd be fast.
No.
Okay.
It's not a speed question. Gork, what is Cinderen's least successful hero? So the criteria for
Okay.
this is lowest
Yeah.
win rate with minimum of 100 games, and I'll give you a multiple
100
choice.
games. Okay, nice.
And then once we find out the answer, Synderen will have to tell us why he's so bad at the hero. Yeah.
What the fuck?
So
Nice.
again, lowest win rate with a minimum of 100 games. Is it A, Storm Spirit, B, Pudge, C, Ricky, or D, Phantom Assassin?
dude.
Interested
I
to
would
know
give him
if
a hint, but
Synderen
he's
even
leading, so
knows.
I'm not going to give him a hint.
Yeah. I'm gonna go with Phantom Assassin.
Correct.
Wait,
Very
that's
good.
that's correct?
I should have asked Synderen what
I
he
feel
thought
like
his lowest win rate.
for some reason,
Wait,
I feel like it was
what?
a curveball. It was actually the simplest hero, and
I didn't
that's
think. I genuinely. My hint was gonna be there's only one of these heroes I have more than 100 games on, and I thought that
too
was
bad he didn't
Pudge.
mislead me.
No.
I thought that was Pudge.
So-
It was either Pudge or PA.
I'm looking it up
for me,
right
I was
now. What's
gonna
my
go
So
with.
PA
Synderen
total
has
games?
exactly 100 games played with PA, 41%
Nice.
win rate. So why do you
I'm a
suck so
beast.
much at PA?
41.
Whoa.
Shannon, I'm looking it up right now.
There's
Let me
2
find PA.
buttons on the hero Synderen. Why? Is
You're
it so
actually
hard?
right. I have exactly 100 games on PA.
Why
Technically,
is it
there's
so
3
hard?
now. You can hit.
Yeah, but now, but there was 2.
True.
At least 90 of those games,
True.
probably.
Synderen, we need to hear your
I
defense.
genuinely.
Do your
See,
teammates
okay,
suck? Huh?
No,
Is
when
that it?
stuff like this gets pointed out, it's actually it's really interesting because for me, for a long time, I consider this one of my best carry heroes, right? And it's funny how
Okay.
sometimes like your perception can be so far away from reality with things like that. There's also heroes where I'm like, I'm not that good with it, and then I look at my stats, I'm like, holy shit, I actually have 60% win rate over 150 games. Okay, I guess something is going right? Like when the sample size is that big, it does tell something. I don't know. I guess all in all, the more I think about it, I think my teammates are just bad. That's got to
Yeah.
be it, right?
Definitely.
Just had a lot of
Valid
bad
excuse.
games when I was PA.
Man, I'm
Alright.
on fire with my guesses.
Yeah, Gork
I
has already
already
won,
lost.
by the way.
I already
But
lost.
we'll finish off with Synderen's last
Okay.
question. What is
Alright, let's go.
Gork's least successful hero? A. Lena. B. Rubik. C. Meepo. D. Tiny.
Okay, I think there's only 2 of those heroes he has over 100 games on, and that's Lena and Tiny. I'm pretty sure about that.
Okay.
And he primarily likes playing carry, but when he has to play mid, he plays Lena, and it probably has really mixed results. I'm gonna go with Lena. As the lowest
Gork,
win
do you know the answer to this?
Zalina, I think, too.
Yes, you are correct. It was Lena. 106 games played, 44.34% win rate.
It's
Ooh.
better
is
than
your
my win rate
defense?
on
That's
PA.
a good one.
What is your defense?
I mean, sometimes you gotta support, like support lose. Nah, I don't know. I actually don't respect it. I don't even respect the hero a lot. I think it kills, it owns, and then it dies like twice because it has like 1,000 HP, and then it's done.
Yeah, that's my problem with PA too. I kind of own, but then the hero is just not very good. I exclusively played PA in a patch that it was really bad, Shannon. That's why. I played in
Oh.
like the worst PA patches,
Same,
and I was
same.
like, this
Yeah.
hero is really bad. I'm gonna play it.
All
That
right.
was a good excuse. Damn.
I didn't think of this at the time, but I'm going to look it up right now. Bonus question for both of you.
Let's go.
And it will not have
Speed?
multiple choice, but what hero is my least successful with 100 games played?
And you're not giving us choices.
There's
I can- okay,
100,000 heroes.
I can give you.
Give
yeah,
me
I'll give you
the
some
letter it
choices.
starts with.
You need
I'll
to
give
us some
you
options.
multiple choice. Okay, so we have Viper, Pudge, Dragon Knight, or Spirit Breaker.
I'm gonna go with Dragon Knight. You can pick whatever you want, Synderen.
I'm gonna take Spirit Breaker. I think you're just fucking face rolling in, and you're just
Both-
way over aggressive.
Both of you are incorrect. This one's actually
Oh.
quite embarrassing. It is my most played hero, is my least successful, and that is
What?
Pudge. 280 games played, 44.64% win rate. I love playing
Damn.
this hero, but my God, am I bad. Holy shit. Oh, that's a rough
That's
one.
crazy.
That makes me quite sad. Anyway,
When the most played is the least win rate, that's crazy. Yeah.
yes, that is not a good combination. Gork, thank you so much for coming on the podcast, buddy. Where can people find you?
Hey, it was fun. It's twitch.tv/Gork and Twitter Gork is also fine.
Gorgeous cow.
Remember, it is spelled Gorgc, as in gorgeous
Yeah.
cow.
That's right.
Yes, Gork C. Some people say or Gorgich in Russian.
Synderen,
Yeah.
have you seen In Bruges?
Not yet. No.
Have you ever heard of that movie?
I've seen
Gork?
it.
And what's your verdict? What do you think?
Well, some people say it's the greatest movie ever, but I say those people are wrong. I think it's an okay/good movie. I knew you love it
It's-
probably.
Oh,
the way you're
shit.
leading
Of course.
on. I'm sorry,
Oh, of
but
course. Wait, 1
I
to
watched
10.
a lot of movies. I think
What
it's okay.
number? What number?
7.4.
That's okay. I'll take
That's
it.
really specific. He looked that up on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh, Rotten Tomatoes like
I have an
90
internal
something.
system.
Come on.
Syndrome.
Come on.
Oh damn.
See, Gork's very cultured. Cinder hasn't watched this movie. I've been asking him for
Okay,
almost a
Sam.
year now. So
What would you rather have? That a person has not watched the movie, or that they have watched it and thought it was mediocre?
You're asking me?
No,
Or
Shannon.
Yeah,
I
Shannon.
guess
Okay.
never watching it. Ignorance is
All right.
bliss, as they say.
So there we are.
Hmm.
So you'd rather Gork hadn't watched it. I mean, he
Gork.
gave it a better than mediocre.
Thanks for
score,
ruining
so.
the episode, Gork. In Bruges is the best. Okay, it's not the best movie ever. It's one of my favorites though. Okay.
What's the best then?
Ooh.
I'm dragging this one on forever. Huh?
Well, my favorite movie of all time is not. I don't think it's the best movie ever. It's Garden State. I love that movie. I love Matrix. I love Interstellar. In Bruges is top 5, and I can't remember what else. Maybe American Beauty. Or something
Sinner?
like that.
Pulp Fiction. is
That's
my-
the only movie
that's
he's
fair.
seen.
Oh, it's so
He's seen
overrated.
like 10
dude.
movies.
If I had to pick it, that was
It's so
number one.
overrated. Pulp Fiction.
Apart from that, I like a lot of like epic adventure stuff. I like Lord of the Rings, especially the first one. I thought was really cool.
Oh, yeah.
Mhm.
That one to me stands out, like the whole construction of the universe and stuff. Yeah, that kind of thing.
What about you, Gork?
I like those.
No, I also think Lord of the Rings. The third movie, the third one, I think I like the most. Honestly, it's really good conclusion to the story now. But I have a couple others. But yeah, I have an entire list. I don't want to drag you on. I've watched
No,
a lot of movies.
I need to hear something that is not a typical answer. So Lord of the Rings is a typical answer.
All right.
If you don't like Lord of
besides
the
all
Rings, you're
typical
a
ans-
disgusting human being.
Yeah,
So I need
besides all the
something else.
typical answers of like Shawshank, Fight Club, and all these,
Mhm.
I think I like the Justin Timberlake movie In Time a lot. That one is fun.
What the?
Yeah.
You asked for
I
it,
didn't know he
Shannon.
had
You
a
wanted
movie.
it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go, dude.
All right, why?
go.
I need to hear why you like this movie.
I just think it has it all, dude. It has Justin Timberlake. It has gambling. Like there's time and eternal life involved. There's futuristic. That's all the themes I like,
This
dude.
is the best fucking end to the episode that I couldn't even imagine this could have been ending. In Bruges is mediocre, and a really good movie is Justin Timberlake in time.
You didn't help
Shannon.
yourself
Dude,
out
you
with
can't-
credibility on the movie.
You can't go wrong with JT, dude. There's no way.
All right, well, that brings us to the end of this episode. God be with everyone. Gork, thanks again for coming on, buddy. Good luck with everything in your future. Cinderin,
Thank you.
I guess I'll see you next week.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
We say things that don't mean anything, but thanks for listening. Yeah.